Mr. President Ruto, I hope this message finds you well amidst the current events unfolding across Kenya, particularly the fervent protests led by Generation Z. As a concerned global citizen and someone deeply invested in the future of Kenya, I feel compelled to address you directly on the issues that have sparked such widespread unrest and determination among the youth of your nation. The recent protests, predominantly driven by Kenya's Generation Z, have not only captured national attention but have reverberated globally. These young individuals, born between 1996 and 2012, have taken to the streets in unprecedented numbers, demanding justice, transparency, and a fundamental change in the trajectory of their country's governance. Their voices echo with a resounding call for accountability, particularly concerning the proposed finance bill and its implications for the everyday lives of Kenyans. First and foremost, Mr. President, it is crucial to acknowledge the legitimate grievances that underpin these protests. The proposed finance bill, aimed at increasing taxes on essential items such as bread, vegetable oil, diapers, and sanitary pads, has understandably ignited public outrage. Kenyans, already grappling with economic challenges, fear that these measures will exacerbate the cost of living crisis, further burdening an already vulnerable population. The details of the finance bill reveal a troubling approach that disproportionately affects essential goods, making basic living necessities even more expensive for the average Kenyan. Bread, a staple food item, and sanitary pads, an essential hygiene product, are not luxuries but necessities. By imposing higher taxes on such items, the government risks deepening poverty and inequality, leaving many families struggling to meet their basic needs. Moreover, the protests are not merely a reaction to economic policies, but a broader outcry against perceived systemic corruption and mismanagement within the government. Many Kenyan youth and their supporters, both at home and abroad, feel that their futures are being compromised by decisions that prioritize international financial institutions' demands over the well-being of the Kenyan people. The influence of entities like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, while often framed as necessary for fiscal stability, appears to many as an imposition that disregards the immediate hardships faced by the populace. Mr. President, it is evident that these protests are not just about taxes or economic policies. They represent a profound yearning for change. They underscore a deep-seated desire among Kenya's youth to be actively involved in shaping the future of their country. They demand a seat at the table, not as token representatives but as genuine participants in decision-making processes that impact their lives and the lives of future generations. The energy and passion demonstrated by Generation Z reflect a collective frustration with the status quo and a fervent desire for a new direction that prioritizes integrity, transparency, and equitable development. As you navigate through these challenging times, I urge you to consider the broader implications of your administration's policies and actions. The youth of Kenya are not merely seeking concessions or temporary appeasement. They are advocating for a systemic shift towards a more just, equitable, and transparent governance framework. Their determination and resilience in the face of adversity should serve as a catalyst for introspection and meaningful dialogue within your government. The impact of these protests has been profound. They have succeeded in bringing international attention to Kenya's issues, igniting a broader conversation about the role of youth in political activism. The protests have underscored the power of social media as a mobilization and advocacy tool, demonstrating how platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter can be harnessed to raise awareness and rally support for a cause. Young Kenyans have utilized these platforms effectively, creating content that resonates deeply with viewers and mobilizing widespread support both domestically and internationally. Furthermore, Mr. President, it is crucial to recognize the pivotal role that social media has played in amplifying the voices of these protesters. Platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter have become powerful tools for mobilization and advocacy, enabling Kenyan youth to connect, organize, and articulate their concerns on a global scale. The world is watching as these young leaders demonstrate the transformative potential of digital activism in the 21st century. In addressing these protests, I encourage your administration to engage sincerely with the protesters and their representatives. This engagement should not be viewed as a challenge to authority, but as an opportunity to build bridges of trust and understanding between the government and its citizens. Transparent dialogue, genuine efforts to address grievances, and concrete steps towards accountability will be essential in fostering a constructive way forward. Moreover, Mr. President, it is imperative to uphold the principles of democracy and human rights throughout this process. Peaceful protest is a fundamental right enshrined in Kenya's constitution and should be respected and protected. Any actions taken by authorities to maintain order must be proportionate, respectful of human dignity, and aimed at de-escalating tensions rather than exacerbating them. Reports of excessive force and violence against protesters only serve to deepen divisions and fuel further unrest. It is vital that your administration prioritizes the protection of civil liberties and ensures that law enforcement agencies exercise restraint and uphold the rule of law. As you contemplate the path ahead, I urge you to consider the long-term implications of your decisions on the unity, prosperity, and stability of Kenya. The world is witnessing a pivotal moment in your country's history, where the aspirations of a new generation intersect with the responsibilities of leadership. How you respond to these challenges will not only shape the immediate future, but will also leave a lasting legacy for generations to come. One of the central demands of the protesters is for greater transparency and accountability in governance. Corruption and mismanagement have long plagued Kenya, undermining public trust and hindering development. The protesters argue that instead of imposing additional burdens on the populace, the government should focus on addressing these underlying issues. Implementing robust anti-corruption measures, enhancing transparency in public finances, and ensuring that public resources are used efficiently and effectively would go a long way in restoring confidence and demonstrating your commitment to good governance. Furthermore, it is essential to recognize the broader issue of youth representation in politics. In many African nations, young people are often marginalized and excluded from decision-making processes. However, the Kenyan youth have demonstrated that they refuse to be silenced. They are demanding a seat at the table and actively striving to shape their country's future. Empowering young people to participate in politics and governance is not only a moral imperative, but also a strategic necessity. The energy, creativity, and innovative ideas that the youth bring to the table can drive progress and development in ways that benefit all Kenyans. In conclusion, Mr. President, I appeal to your sense of duty and leadership. Embrace this moment as an opportunity to listen, learn, and lead with compassion and foresight. Engage with Kenya's youth not as adversaries but as partners in nation building. Together we can forge a path towards a brighter and more inclusive future for all Kenyans. Your administration has a unique opportunity to demonstrate that it values the voices and aspirations of its youth. By addressing their concerns and incorporating their perspectives into policymaking, you can help build a more just and equitable society. This is not just about resolving the current crisis, but about laying the foundation for a more resilient and prosperous Kenya. Thank you for considering these perspectives. I remain hopeful that with courage and determination, we can collectively navigate through these turbulent times, towards a Kenya that fulfills the aspirations of its youth and upholds the values of justice, transparency, and equality.